Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hold My Crown podcast. I have a very special Miss USA guest today. Welcome, Tara Connor.
Hi, babe.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I have a little intro, so I'm going to pull up my notes and just give you guys a little bit of Tara's background, but we have a lot to talk about and discuss today.
Yes.
There's like, I feel like your Miss USA year was kind of like a reality TV show. Well, actually, there was.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about, but the ups and the downs and like all the wildness could have been put on TV before it was even put on TV.
Yeah.
So let me get your intro going and then we'll get right into it. So we are joined today by the incredible Tara Connor, former Miss USA, TV host, TEDx speaker, and passionate recovery advocate. Tara made headlines in 2006 when her reign as Miss USA was overshadowed by a public scandal. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, but what followed was nothing short of transformative. She turned her personal struggles with addiction into a mission to help others in recovery. Known for her brutal honesty, which I love, and transparency, Tara now inspires millions, encouraging people to recover out loud. Today, we're diving into her powerful journey of healing, resilience, and the ongoing work that she's doing to break the stigma around addiction. Yeah. Welcome, Tara.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we have so much to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we'll start because, especially, this is the Hold My Crown podcast. I feel like today's episode will be like we have little episodes called Crown Confessions where you're like spilling the tea, maybe things people haven't heard or haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of tea. In like the more recent pageant community, people may not know your story, what you experienced, what you went through, or they might not be familiar with the depth of it. So let's rewind the clock.
Okay, let's go back.
How did you even get into pageants? Like, where did that interest come from? Yeah. What age were you? Like, what got you started? Give me the background.
So I was the first Miss USA from Kentucky, which was really cool. But when I first got into pageantry, it was more of like a shove in that direction because my mom's hairdresser, Philip, God rest his soul, was huge into pageantry and doing all the girls. He's like the Austin Ride of Kentucky pageantry.
Yeah.
So he saw me when I was like 13 years old, and he was like, this is Kentucky stuff. So, Brina Gale, you need to get Tara into pageants. And so I have always been a bit of a tomboy and a bit of a girly girl. So I definitely have that mix, but pageantry wasn't really something that I was into. But I think I just kind of put on the dress that he had in his shop, and it was this beautiful coral little like princess top or princess cut gown, and I just felt really pretty.
Yeah. How old were you at this point?
I think I was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
And so I joined my first pageant. It was, if I take it back, I did a few baby pageants, but then when I didn't win, I stomped
You're a Southern girl.
Yes. And I was like, where's my crown? You know?
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't like in the cards at the moment.
Yeah.
But I ended up competing for Young Miss Russell County Fair.
Oh, yes.
Which was my hometown.
Such a Southern thing. I feel like the fair pageants are such a thing. Even my friend that's on the Valley, Brittany Cartwright, she did her like her fair pageants. I feel like it's very common.
We were probably in the exact same pageant system.
Oh, yeah.
And dare I say that it was harder than the USA system?
No way.
Bible. It was insane. I remember, so I competed for that pageant, and I remember my mom trying to prepare me for interview questions. And, you know, I have always just been unapologetically who I am. I'm not really great at masking, even though I did learn how to mask in a lot of ways in my life. But we sat down and went over interview questions and did all of that. And so, it was funny. Like, one of the things she was like, when you think of someone you look up to the most, like, maybe say your grandmother because she got her GED when she was like 50, or I'm not really sure. This is a little foggy, but But yeah, and then when you talk about what you want to be when you grow up, like I used to always say I wanted to be a lawyer because I was such a great, like, argumentative winner.
Yes, you had the skills already.
I sure did. And so when I go to my interview, I was just so like blah. They were like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, well, I want to graduate high school. I want to get my PhD, and then I want to get my GED, and then I want to be a lawyer.
I love it.
Oh my God.
The winning answer.
I won. But I think it was just because the rest of the girls were like real pageant patties.
And people love someone they can connect with and like feel like they can relate with her. Yes.
Yeah. And so I think they just thought I was cute. But I went to Young Miss Russell County Fair that year and I got first runner-up.
Amazing.
Which was huge.
Yes.
And then I went to Miss Kentucky Teen USA. And
see, I don't even know about any of your teen journeys. So you competed at teen in the USA system.
I did.
Okay.
I competed for Miss Kentucky Teen USA, I think maybe 2 years later or maybe the next year. I can't really remember. But yeah, there were like 133 girls in that state pageant because it was so big.
Yeah.
I never in a million years thought I would win, but I did. And then I went to Miss Teen USA, and oh dear God, if you ever get bored and want to look up clips of that, they had these interviews, and one of the things they asked me was, if you could be any animal, what would it be and why? And I was like, I'd be a parrot, because if I couldn't talk, I'd die.
Oh my
God.
Goodness.
It is mortifying. But
did you place?
I got second runner-up.
Stop it. How did I not know this?
And I got, and my onstage question, they asked me, what is the worst thing about boys? And I said, crusty teeth. There's Crest, there's Colgate, there's all kinds of stuff. Girl.
On stage. You said this, and you got second runner-up.
Second runner-up.
This is incredible.
But again, pageant patties. Like everyone was always like, so polished and so rehearsed, and I'm not that human.
Right.
I have never been able to present in any other way than myself.
Right.
And so
I love that. It makes me think about that one Miss Universe from the US that when she was like, if I could do anything, I would just eat. And would she say something along those lines?
About pizzas or
right? And
I'm
just
not really
I
sure.
wouldn't get fat, but I would just eat anything I want all day long. Like but then she won Miss Universe.
Right.
People want to just feel like they can connect with somebody.
Well, yeah, and I think that that's kind of always been part of my experience, for better or for worse. I've been able to connect with people in a very human way.
Yeah.
And I was just different. I was the black sheep of the pageant world, but a lot of people connected to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so second runner-up at Miss Teen USA.
And
you're like,
swimsuit award.
Okay.
I think. Was it swimsuit award or photogenic? I don't remember.
But you got an award.
I sure did.
And you're like, I am not done with pageants. I need to come back.
Well, I wish. I actually hated them.
Okay.
Only because when I was around 14, that's when my addiction actually began.
That's so young.
It's so young. Yeah. I mean, it was like a perfect storm for all of that. I can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But what happened when I won was I would be on the front page of the newspapers and everyone being like, look how smart she is. Look how pretty she is. 4.0 GPA, like on the varsity cheerleading squad. And like, it was a mask.
Yeah.
And so my real life was misery. My background was extremely painful. But when I would win a pageant, it would present to people that I was different than what I felt I was on the inside.
Yeah. Where was the pain or the misery coming from in your life, if you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh, absolutely. So I was abused by an uncle when I was 3 years old. And you know, I grew up in this tiny community where, I mean, there were 2,300 people in my town at the time, like super small. And I just remember always kind of like knowing that that wasn't normal and that it wasn't right. But I also tried to speak up with my little 3-year-old voice. And I think I said like, I don't want to see him. He makes my butt hurt or something like that. And so nothing was really done about it. And what I learned from that was I have to protect myself.
Yeah.
Like, I just learned survival mode right away.
Yep.
And so on the inside, especially with like all of the churches around and all of the like beliefs that were impressed upon me, like if you drink or smoke or have premarital sex, you're going straight to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like my uncle never gave me an option in that matter.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm agnostic because I believe in God, but I don't think God wants anything to do with me because I'm damaged.
Oh, my heart is breaking, and especially being parents. Like, we both have
Right.
small kids around the same age.
Yep.
And the same age of when you experience what you
Right.
experienced. And that
Yeah.
it's so heartbreaking.
It is. And, you know, I spent the majority of my younger life just trying to prove to everyone that I wasn't the piece of shit they thought I was. Because the behaviors that I learned were not secure attachment styles.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was promiscuous. I was I struggled. I started like using when I was 14 consistently. And I was self-medicating.
Yeah.
You know, so.
How did you get access at that age?
Oh my gosh. Not to give you kids any ideas, but this was back when.
Oh, because I even think like back in the day, like not that we're old or anything, but like, you know, a handful of years ago, I'm like, where do kids in the middle of Kentucky even get stuff?
Well, there was an overabundance of Oxycontin at the time. And that's when that whole craze was kind of going down the pipeline. And so, you know, technically I was a heroin addict, but I just had the purest form of heroin.
Right. Wow.
And the way that I would get my hands on it, we would go to like the trailer park to the old man that had cancer, and we would bring him a sausage biscuit from Dairy Queen, and he would give us a handful of pills. And
Wild.
I know that sounds insane and it's hard to wrap your brain around, but statistically, kids start using at 11.
Wow.
11 years old is when they have their first drink or their first drug or anything. And so, you know, I don't know if you've ever heard of like ACEs scores, adverse childhood experiences.
Yes, I have actually.
So I definitely had the perfect mixture of trauma, family dynamics, insecurity, no safety. And so I also have alcoholism and addiction that runs in my family. So that gives me a 50% chance likelihood.
Wow.
And so I pickled myself, as you would say. Like, you start out as a cucumber, but then you drink enough to turn yourself into a pickle. But I'm pretty sure I was pickled by the time I was at the end of my 14-year-old year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wild.
But yeah, that's just one of the ways. But,
Right.
you know, alcohol, we lived in a dry county. They didn't even sell alcohol. So I had a bootlegger named Turtle.
Stop it.
And
At 14.
at 14.
Hey, Turtle.
Hey, Turtle.
Hey, old man, you want a biscuit? Like,
How manipulative, but also like masterfully genius.
oh yeah.
Yeah, brilliant survival skills. But yeah, I think that, you know, just having it around and knowing your people and kind of getting a nose for those things.
Yeah.
And it
It
was,
was your environment and your access and the people around you.
but in school, I was like the, you know, star cheerleader. Like when I was coming out of elementary school, I was put in on the high school squad.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
was in 7th grade.
Wow.
But I was their most talented flyer and cheerleader. And so
Right.
it was competitive. So they put me on there. And I was just really put into too many adult situations at an early age.
Yeah. You were very high functioning.
Very
with
high
all the
functioning.
dysfunction that you had going
Yes.
on.
I didn't have a choice.
Right.
You know, it was
Yeah.
like survive or don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. I really learned masking very well. And I also learned how to keep people at a distance. So
Can you give us a definition of masking?
masking.
everybody
So you learn how to
listening knows.
mask. You learn how to do social cues, social responses. You learn how to adapt.
Mhm.
And you know, every pageant girl is brilliant at masking,
Mhm.
which is interesting unless you do a reality show and then like you get to, there's no masking. It's crazy.
Oh, or they'll accuse you of masking, which may or may not be happening in season 2 of The Valley. We'll see. By the time this comes out, the episodes will be out, so y'all will know what I'm talking about.
But
moving on.
Yep, that's masking. It's just trying to put on a face and make everything look good. And I did for a long time.
Yeah. And you learned how to, but it's also part of survival, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't mind these like rabbit trails, bunny trails, whatever you call them. What is it?
Rabbit holes.
Rabbit holes that we go down because I feel like it's obviously all part of your story.
Yeah.
So getting back on the pageant side of the story. So you didn't love pageants. You got second runner up at Miss Teen USA because everybody loves you because we just love your raw and realness.
Oh, dear God.
I love it.
It's so embarrassing.
So how old were you when you competed for Miss Teen USA? And then when did you get back into the Miss division? Like when did you go back to competing at the Miss level?
I want to say I was 15 or 16.
Okay.
And I competed for Miss Kentucky USA when I was 19.
Okay. And won.
Okay. Yeah.
So you went to Miss USA, you said when you were 20. Okay. And was there anything that stood out to you before actually winning Miss USA, whether it's part of your journey preparing for Miss Kentucky, winning Miss Kentucky, being Miss Kentucky, competing for Miss USA, like anything that stands out to you there that we should know about?
I think that I wanted to rush through it and get it over with, truthfully, because, there at the time was an age limit. Yep. And, at that time, more often than not, a more mature person would win, someone that was a little closer to the end of that age gap.
Yep.
And I was so young, and my mom just really wanted me to wait. Please just wait. But I just wanted to get it over with because I was so tired. I was so tired by this point of just, trying to prove something or be someone. And honestly, like I was engaged for the first time of 4. And that's terrible. And
you were engaged at 19 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that's what you did back then. Of course. You got married.
And it's one of those things. I'm a star cheerleader and I have straight A's and I'm getting engaged because I'm happy and I'm winning pageants. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to marry someone whose family was like, more well known in the county. And so I knew that I would always be okay. But I never in a million years thought I would win Miss USA ever.
Okay.
Ever. And that was like the biggest in my life. Like, I still can't believe I won Miss USA.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that way?
No. But I don't think when I competed, I was.
I love your honesty. You're like, no, I can do it.
But when I competed, I didn't think I've got this. I'm winning. But I knew that I wanted it, and I knew I would do everything in my power to be ready if it was meant for me. And I knew that I would be a good Miss USA because I really, really wanted it. And I competed for 5 years in a row at the state level. And so I was like pursuing this dream over and over and over again.
And over and over.
And I knew I wanted it. And I knew that it could open up doors because our situations are so different. I didn't deal with addiction or anything along those lines. But I mean, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and Daniel's helped me pay my rent before when we were dating. Like I would have to call my dad. Like I budgeted out $77 a week for groceries. And like I would have to eat at home before going to meals with my friends because I couldn't afford to also eat out. So like I knew that Miss USA could also be an opportunity to have like a door open to a different life.
Yes.
So that was like where I was like, I'm ready. If it's for me, I just want it so bad.
Yeah.
Versus like there's so many girls that are like, this is part of my story and I want to do the pageant thing, but it's like, I don't need to win. And so
it's not that I didn't want to win. I just didn't think I would win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew that I was capable of it.
Yeah.
Just because my history in pageants was winning.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was a big part of me that thought I could, but I think because of everything I'd been through, I didn't feel like I would be lucky enough. Because you're right. I also needed that springboard. I needed a way up and out of Russell County.
Yeah.
I needed something that could give me a launch pad.
Yeah.
And I wanted it, but I just didn't think I would be lucky enough to get it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it over with, though, so I could just like put the final nail in that coffin.
And then go get married and settle down and have a safe life. And
just start the cycle all over again.
Right?
Generational trauma, keep it moving.
Yeah. So you win Miss USA,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it's a bit similar to when I won Miss USA.
Mhm.
Your whole life changes. The very next day, you
Right.
fly to New York City. You start your
Mhm.
media week. Meanwhile, you also have addiction. Nobody knows about
Right.
this.
No.
What's that part of the story? But mostly the pageants, but sprinkle that in there until
I will.
the explosion.
So I won in Baltimore, Maryland. So
Okay.
I took a train with Esther up
Mama
to New York.
Esther.
I love her.
Yes.
On the way when I did my week, and during the time, this is similar to like Hillary as well, Hillary Cruz.
Uh-huh.
During the time, they were doing like a behind the scenes docuseries on E!
Okay.
About the pageants, and they were really following Miss California because
Oh.
everyone knew that California was going to get it.
Okay.
And
Who
so
was California your year?
Tamika Nash.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yep. Mhm.
And so when I had my media week, she joined me for a lot of it.
Oh, wow.
But I also think that I wasn't eloquent in the way that I spoke. My grammar was terrible. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. I just came from a tiny town where you have a thick accent and everything sounds like you're saying it wrong.
So you had an accent when you won, because I've never heard you with an accent. I've never noticed
a
it.
little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Cute.
Stop it.
I love it.
But yeah, I think they were a little mortified, honestly, with me because I think they knew that they had a lot of polishing up to do, and so yeah, I did my media tour, but yeah, I was in my addiction still. I didn't have any plugs in. That's a word for drug dealers.
Okay. I was like, what does that mean?
What's a plug? I didn't have any of those, so the doorman ended up being my drug dealer.
Stop it.
I will not stop.
Not Carlos.
Not Carlos.
Okay, I
This
love
was up
Carlos.
on the Upper West Side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different building. Because I'm like, I love all our doormen. Okay.
Yeah. So I was 20, so I couldn't legally get alcohol. And so
There was ways.
And I also never did cocaine. That was not my jam. Like, that's what I failed a drug test for. But it wasn't as accessible for me to get the narcotics that I was used to taking.
Okay.
So I definitely, I still used, but again, it wasn't that I was trying to like be full flight from reality and not be in the experience. When I look back at my addiction, the types of drugs that I used at the times that I used them treated panic disorder, ADD, OCD,
Yeah.
a lot of the things that I was later diagnosed with at 30.
Wow. Did you feel like you were very, oh my gosh, you were so young, 20 years old. Did you feel like you were very high functioning where whatever you were consuming wasn't affecting your job? Or was it affecting your job as Miss USA?
I think that I did get sick a lot. I know that I was supposed to go to Nice, and I ended up getting like a really severe case of bronchitis. I had bronchitis. Like, drugs won't give you bronchitis, but my immune system was low. So sure, like, were there times that I really wanted to miss workouts? Absolutely. I didn't want to go to the gym every day, Nia. I just didn't. I was at an age in my life where I could eat cheeseburgers and French fries and all of this stuff.
And then you see gym on the schedule at 8 a.m. and you're like, why? I don't want to go. Yeah.
I just,
you have a personal trainer. Get your booty to the gym. You're like, okay.
You're like, if I must. But if I did, like, there was no room for breaks.
Right. Absolutely.
And I was exhausted. And I was alone.
Yes. Especially if no one in the city, you don't know anybody.
Nope.
You're alone. That's when first time I've ever experienced depression was as Miss USA.
Yep.
It was my first time being in a city where I knew nobody. I was on the road constantly. That was like, I didn't know what hit me when it hit me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And, you get everything that you think is going to change you on the inside. You think you're getting all of those bits that are going to fix you or like really fulfill that hole. No, I never felt more lonely than I did when I was Miss USA.
Yeah.
It was awful.
It is such a wild thing. And you still have people all around you. It's a busy city, but that doesn't mean that you're not alone.
Right. But also, I didn't feel like the organization was like a family friendly, like I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the love because
it's not warm and cozy.
No, it's like if you step out of bounds just a little, then you're put in therapy or you're given, I don't know. It's like I felt like every little mistake that I would make would be so magnified.
Yeah.
And the threat of constantly losing my job
Oh, yeah.
for the smallest of anything.
And it feels like it's world ending.
It
The
does.
smallest things. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's complete, like over things that I don't have control over.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I went to an after party. We were all underage that year. It was myself, Zuleika Rivera, Katie Blair.
How old was Zuleika?
Zuleika was 19.
Oh, my goodness.
I was the eldest.
Wow.
And Miss Teen USA, Katie, she was also 19,
Yeah.
but on the lower side to where
Right.
she was just off the cusp.
Yep.
And so people would invite us out to clubs and after parties.
And you could go?
They would say, like, you can go, just we don't want to hear anything about it.
Oh,
But then
my
if someone
goodness.
took a photo of us
At the club.
I can't control the paparazzi that
Yeah.
are there. So I would be given like a green light, like you can go. And then I would get in trouble for going.
Yep.
So it felt very like, it's like crazy making behavior.
It is. And you're walking on eggshells. And
All the time.
But you're giving her, that's rough. I don't know.
It was hard.
That is hard.
It was really hard.
Mm.
Oof.
Summer is full of big moments, whether it's weddings, vacations, and of course, endless photos and lots of fun. But if you're dealing with thinning or shedding of your hair, showing up and being present in those moments is hard. I know I had a really rough time 2 years ago when I felt like my hair was thinning and shedding all summer long after having the twins. That's why I'm excited to get back to Nutrafol postpartum formula for myself, especially as I'm going into this summer. The sooner you start, the sooner you will be feeling confident and focusing on what matters most to you. You may have heard of Nutrafol's hair growth supplements and wondered, do they actually work? It's a fair question. Many hair supplements overpromise and underdeliver, but Nutrafol is different. As the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, it's trusted by over 1.5 million people and is clinically tested to deliver real results in just 3 to 6 months. I am one of those people. I have seen the real results. Everyone's root causes of hair thinning are different, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth does not cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas designed to give your body what it needs to grow and support your hair's unique needs. Whether you're navigating postpartum, like I will be soon, menopause, or plant-based lifestyle, or simply looking to see less hair shedding, Nutrafol has got you covered. Adding Nutrafol to your routine is easy and no prescription is needed. Order online with free shipping and automated deliveries. Subscribe to save 20% and enjoy perks like one-on-one naturopathic consults and a free Headspace membership to support your hair growth journey. This summer, stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code HMC. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code HMC. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code HMC. So,
Okay.
From winning Miss USA and all your experiences, how far into your year, was this before or after Miss Universe, did everything come out publicly? How did the organization find out that you were using?
Okay, so
what's that whole story?
So I failed the drug test December of 2006. So this was after Miss Universe.
Okay.
And
were they just given drug tests to Miss Universe and Miss USA? How did that come
What
on?
happened was, so Katie Blair's boyfriend was in town.
Okay.
She and I used to be road dogs. Like we went everywhere together. And he came into town with his friend. Katie thought that I was flirting with him. I was not. And she called Paula and said, Tara's doing cocaine and she's been doing it for a while, and I'll say this now and I'm never going to say it again. I don't want to talk about it after that. So because in a drunken rage.
Paula Sugar was the president of the organization.
Yes. So she ratted me out.
Interesting. Now, I feel like I have a recollection of both of you not passing the drug test, or is that in my mind?
I mean, I think, well, so I was given the drug test first. They
Okay.
gave us all a drug test after I got out of treatment. Zuli was like, does poppy seeds show up as marijuana? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
no one wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was actively participating or self-medicating in their own way.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they brought me into the office, said, we hear that you've been doing cocaine. And I was like, just drug test me then. And they were like, all right. And they called my bluff. And I was like, I think that's how that happened. I think they asked me once. And then I said, I bluffed them. And I was like, drug test me then. And I think the next time was, they said, you're getting one. And I was like, all right. And so we got in the car on the way. And I told them, there's no need for me to do this. I'm going to fail for a copious amount of drugs. So,
Wow.
but they had me take it anyway.
The like confirmation of it.
And then the following day, I woke up and turned on the radio, and it said Miss USA fails a drug test for cocaine. And by the end of the night, I was on SportsCenter's top 10 flops of the day.
How did that get into the media?
It got leaked.
By?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
I heard, allegedly, it was leaked by the Miss Universe organization. Actually, I know for sure it was leaked by the Miss Universe organization, because that's something that I was told later on. Okay. Which was a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
It was not handled well.
No.
Not their best work. This was also when addiction and mental health issues were very stigmatized.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, a few years later, Demi Lovato's overdosing and people are offering her prayers and warm wishes. I was like a witch at the Salem witch trials.
Yes.
I had former Miss USAs that literally taught me how to use the service elevator to sneak people upstairs, take their opportunity to speak about how I wasn't a good role model but these are people I partied with.
Right.
And so it was kind of like my first taste of that, where people would like kind of social climb off of your experience.
Yeah.
And it was so gross. It was just like, I never felt like I was part of any type of sisterhood, because I always felt so severely judged.
Absolutely.
So
and attacked during your year. Like just everyone coming at you.
Yeah. And it didn't help that Donald Trump was the owner at the time.
Right. So how does that experience get into the mix? So it gets leaked. Does he look at it as like, oh, great, any type of media is good media, like, let's do this? Like, what is that experience?
This was during The Apprentice, where the big catchphrase was, you're fired. So, like, all of the, you know, the newspapers, front page of everything was, they were calling me, like, disgraced Miss USA. She's going to be fired. TMZ called me Mess USA, which I think is brilliant. I mean, sometimes you just got to give props where they're due.
You do. I get people coming at me and I just laugh sometimes. I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Not bad. It's pretty witty. So it was more press than the organization had ever seen.
Yep.
And so they utilized it. And they let it ride for 2 weeks before they made the announcement if I was going to keep my title or lose it. They flew me back to New York, had me pack up my apartment because we were getting ready to move apartments. I didn't know if I was going to go home or if I was going back to the next apartment.
Wow.
And so they had a press conference in New York. So many people there. I go up
like
to Trump.
Paula, or you were there too? Oh, wow.
So it was Paula, myself, and Trump. And so
I cannot imagine.
She takes me up to his office. We go upstairs. She has resignation papers there for me to sign. And so I sit down with him, and he was like, what am I supposed to do with this? You're out on the town. You're dancing on tables. You're kissing girls. And I was like, sir, I never danced on a table. Okay.
Let's get the story straight.
But, I mean, I was a classy drunk for the most part. But I said, I think that it would say far more about the organization and far more about your character if you helped me and gave me an opportunity to turn this around. Yeah. I really think that I could be one of the better Miss USAs out there. And he sits back and he's like, Trump saves Miss USA. I like it.
Oh, my goodness. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
Right.
And then we get into the elevator to go downstairs, and he's like, bring on the tears. They love that. And that's when I knew I'm being used as a puppet.
Absolutely.
And no one in this really has my best interest at heart.
It's whatever's going to benefit the organization.
Right.
I was told that by former Miss USAs from day one. Know that it's not about you.
It's not about you.
And like, I don't even want to speak negatively of the organization, but I was told they don't care about you. They care about the brand and they care about the organization.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. Like, I've spoken with Paula about everything that happened. And, you know, she and I have gotten into pretty great, like, we had a pretty healing conversation actually this past year. Just because of everything with Noelia and like, you know, I think they were trying to get me to like really root for the organization. And I was like, I got to be honest, guys, I never felt safe with you. That was the hardest time of my life.
Yeah.
No one protected me.
Yeah.
And so, and if that would happen during this day, there would be lawsuits involved.
Oh, yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I was so mistreated for being someone who was sick. You cannot tell me that someone with a still developing brain at 20 years old moves to New York City, has this perfect storm of trauma, is in a position to do better than what I did.
Yeah.
Some people are better at it than others, but now I know that it's a disease. I wasn't a bad person. I was just really unwell.
Yes.
And no one ever gave me that opportunity of safety and protection.
Yeah. And I don't think they probably saw it through that lens at that time.
No,
There wasn't
not at all.
a lot of knowledge and awareness.
No, it was more of like, I feel like it was just a game of them trying to catch me in a lie.
Yeah.
Always. And so, I had the press conference, and on the way down in the elevator, he's like, bring on the tears, but make sure you tell him I saved your life. And I was like, I want to thank Trump for saving me on this one, you know, because I'm not going to say you saved my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you fuck off with that.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. But I don't think that all of our angels are always dressed in sheep's clothing. Sometimes they're dressed as wolves. And so despite everything that happened the way that it did, it put me in a position to help a lot of people.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And I feel like if you look at the service work that I've done in the recovery field, I've been an advocate for 18 years.
Yeah.
I've been sober for over 18 years.
Wow.
And I have become a safe place for so many people that have struggled, including Miss USAs. Like, I feel like my experience made it easier for those after me that struggled with mental health to navigate. And I actually helped them navigate other people's treatment when it was over.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The experience was a lot, and it was one of the biggest news stories of December in 2006, and it carried on, and it turned into a reality show, and it turned into X, Y, and Z, and it was just, it's a lot.
There's so much. And I feel like we could literally talk all day long. I do want to like fill in some things that I know that you and I have discussed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's interesting or important or like should be shared. So when the decision was made, was it in that office, in that meeting for you to go to rehab?
So the talk was that we would do some type of therapy or put me in some type of treatment.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be 30-day residential.
Yeah.
But the Karen Treatment Center someone from there watched the news conference, and they called the Miss Universe organization. They said, we'll take her.
Wow.
And so 2 days later, I was in treatment. I had already been sober for a little over a week.
Okay.
And I learned about alcoholism and addiction. I wasn't quick to jump to say, yes, I'm a drug addict, because I bought into the stigma. Like, I'm Miss USA. How am I a drug addict?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Do you feel like you needed that time, or you could have healed without the inpatient?
No, I think I absolutely needed that time, and I needed more time afterwards. Like, I really wanted to do aftercare, but there was only like 90 days left of my reign.
Wow.
So they wanted me out, and they put me on a media tour after 30 days.
That just makes me want to cry, thinking you as a 20-year-old in your heart saying, I need more time. And they say, we need to use you for press and media. And you're like, I'm still sick. I need help.
I need more time.
Yeah.
I would benefit from being here a little longer.
Yeah.
And the threat of my job once again. So they pull me out. I move into the new apartment that was moved for me. And I've gained 30 pounds in rehab because all you do is eat.
You're not doing anything else.
Just laying there and talking about feelings.
Yeah.
So lots of stuffing my emotions. And then they put me on the craziest media tour where Oprah and Matt Lauer were like battling out for my exclusive. Wow. I had to do the Today Show where literally Matt Lauer's trying to get me to say that I was like abused when I was younger. And I just wasn't ready to share.
No, and on
any
such
of
a
that
platform.
Yet.
Like,
right.
Let me process with my therapist for 5 years first.
Right. I was just
platform.
expected to spill. And then I had this other guy on, I think it was Good Morning America. He was like, do you think you tarnished the crown?
Oh my God.
And I remember looking at him and saying like, you know what, maybe I did. But if we keep looking at addiction as a bad thing, no one's going to want to get help. Because all I could see was like that little version of me that never had a chance.
Yeah.
Watching Miss USA be shamed for being sick.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of like really ignited that fire in me, just to be brutally authentic and real so that people knew that there was a way up and out of that hopeless situation. Because my story, it's hard, but it's common.
Yeah.
That's real life.
Common.
It's all too common.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people that experience what you experienced from such a young age in the multiple aspects that you have, they don't have the platform to get the help and to have access to more or better. So I don't want to wrap this up, but we do have to start wrapping it up. Can you share with me a little bit of what you do now? And if there is someone out there listening that maybe they're not ready to identify like, oh, I have an addiction, but maybe my drinking or my substance use bothers people in my life or affects people in my life. And people have told me, but I don't know if I believe it. Like, I want to kind of know what you would say to them. But first, tell us what you do now.
So now I do a lot. I'm a motivational speaker. So I speak at a lot of different events to raise awareness for substance use disorders and mental health. I'm also an infertility advocate now. So I do a lot of speaking and work with that as well, because it took me a very long time. Gosh, there's so much that I wish I could have told you about.
We need to get back here and talk more. And Eli, I don't even know any of his story, really. I know he's an incredible man, an incredible husband, an incredible father, but I don't know the backstory.
Daniel would love him.
Yeah.
I just feel like, I mean, I know that you guys have like came to my baby shower and we've been connected, but there's just so much. Like, Eli is the salt of the earth, and he's just an overall.
Eli's
that's
Tara's
my
husband.
Yeah, Eli James, he's everything.
We're about to be living in almost the same neighborhood,
literally,
like 9 minutes away from each other in Santa Clarita,
and that's like that's the longest it'll take.
Yeah,
I mean, we're literally going to be right so down the street,
so we'll be spending more time together. Maybe we'll get you back on here for like a whole second one later after I give birth to this baby.
Of course. And
okay.
Yeah, but as far as, so I'm a motivational speaker. I'm recklessly truthful. I also facilitate a lot of group therapy.
Yeah.
That's kind of just like something that I do on my day-to-day that's really fulfilling. And, I travel a lot for work. I'm a busy mama.
Yes, you are.
But I'm doing,
You're helping thousands of people and the ripple effect.
Right.
Because you help the people that are in front of you or the people that you speak in front of, but then those lives are changed and then they get to help other people and encourage other people.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, if anyone's ever struggling with feeling that desperate loneliness or feeling severe anxiety where you feel like your throat's going to pop out of your butt, you know what I mean? Or just any type of thing. Like, we're all suffering from the human condition in one way or another. Some people do it with an overdose of drugs. Some people do it with an overdose of religion. Some just look better than others, right? So the worst thing that you can do is try to do it alone. I wish that someone had made it safe for me to come forward and tell me that you're not broken. You're perfect just the way that you are. Let's see how we can help.
Yeah.
And so closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if you have substance use disorder or if you have mental illness, there's shame around it because the stigma is still very alive. But you matter.
Yeah.
Everybody matters. I don't care what your past looks like. Looks like. I don't matter. It doesn't matter like where you're at in your life. Like, everyone is meant to be here for something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if no one tells them, like, God, I love them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. It's so true. And you've been there and you know the loneliness and you know the hurt. So you know what people are experiencing.
And I know the other side of it,
Yeah.
which is joy and like peace and being completely comfortable in your skin
Yeah.
and being able to just show up as you are always. Like recovery is possible.
Yeah.
And it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if there's anyone out there that ever needs anything, reach out to me on my social. I always answer.
What's your social media? How can people find you?
So, I'm more active on Instagram than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can just find me at Tara E. Connor because some bitch stole my name. Or just Google Tara Connor. You'll find it.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah.
We are going to have you back at some point. We can space it out, but we're going to have you back.
Okay.
There's just so much more story to tell, so many other ways. I feel like your life didn't stop at Miss USA. There's
No, I feel
so
like
much more.
it started after.
Exactly. So we have a
Right.
lot more story to tell.
I would love that.
I appreciate your time.
I love you.
We'll be hanging out in Santa Clarita together.
Yes.
It's public knowledge now. We said it on Watch What Happens Live,
You're
so
gonna
everybody
love
knows.
it. You're
yeah.
gonna love it.
I have
I'm
so many
telling
Santa
ya.
Clarita people DMing me, be like, it's not that bad out here.
No, I honestly, Nia, like when we were, I would say this.
Yeah.
When Eli and I were in a position to buy our first home,
Yeah.
we went to Nashville. Like we were like, let's go somewhere where it's more affordable because I did not want to pay over $1 million for less than 1,000 square feet.
Yes.
It was insane to me. I'm not interested. No, thank you.
Right.
But we, at a last resort, looked at homes in Santa Clarita.
Yep.
And our house that we actually bought is the last one that we saw. And driving around and just seeing the scenery and the people and the cleanliness and just like there was something really magical about it.
Yeah.
And I just knew, I was like, I think we can do this.
Yeah.
And we were able to get an amazing house that I love so much. And yeah, it's magical. Santa Clarita gets a bad rep, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
Guys.
Well, I'm excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Tsure. Thanks for having me.
We'll have you
Mama.
back for sure.
Okay.
And
I would
thank
love
you
that.
for listening to the Hold My Crown podcast. And make sure you guys tune in every single week. We will see you next week. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yay Media Group.